What is something that most people won't believe, but is actually true? Humpback whales will turn on their back and let seals jump on their stomachs to save them from orcas because they effing hate orcas. They'll try to protect humans too, or blow a wall of bubbles to keep sharks away from a calf because they understand that sharks are fish, and therefore afraid of bubbles. Okay, I knew humpback whales were smart, but this smart? What the F? Humpback whales have language, probably one that's more complex than any we humans have. Whale music is full of information, and if we can decode it we could talk to whales. The guy who played the villain in Karate Kid 3, Terry Silver, Thomas Ian Griffith, is actually 7 months younger than Ralph Macchio, Daniel LaRusso. It's weird because the Karate Kid was still supposed to be under 18 and the villain was supposed to have fought in Vietnam. Hollywood age is really weird. Sean Connery was only 12 years older than Harrison Ford, but played his noticeably older father in Indiana Jones. He's in the latest couple of seasons of Cobra Kai and I would not have guessed that. Good fact. The average blood pressure of a giraffe is around 300/190ths. They need to have a high BP to get the blood all the way up the neck to perfuse the brain with oxygen. I am thoroughly impressed by their cardiovascular system. They also have a specific mechanism to not let their brain explode from too much blood pressure when they lower their head to drink. Truly fascinating creatures. Komodo dragons usually reproduce sexually, but females in captivity have been known to reproduce by parthenogenesis, without the need for sperm. Parthenogenesis can also happen extremely rarely in birds. Also, bonus fact: aphids are born pregnant. How is something born pregnant, may I ask? And how long is pregnancy for them? Mourning geckos reproduce this way naturally. The species literally has no males. Sorry, males do exist, but are extremely rare and are often sterile. Life, finds a way. But can it help me find an apartment? Anne Frank, Martin Luther King, and Barbara Walters were all born in the same year. C.S. Lewis and Aldous Huxley died on the same day, but it didn't really make the news because the day was November 22, 1963, and it was also the day JFK was shot. Almonds are from the peach family. Well, inside of the hard center, sometimes they open. There is a seed very similar to an almond. Cashews, pistachios, and mangoes are related to poison ivy. If you are extremely sensitive to poison ivy, you may also react to the others. Mango skin can cause the mango mouth, rash, and cashews, for example, can give you a terribly itchy bee-hole. The shortest commercial flight in the world lasted 57 seconds. It was a Loganair flight between two Scottish islands, Westray and Papa Westray. It was recorded the shortest commercial flight, with the distance of 1.7 miles. What's crazy is that flight distance is less than the length of the runway at Heathrow. The Wright brothers' first flight was 120 feet. The Mariah was 280 feet long. The cargo hold alone was 140 feet long. IIRC, they are considering trialing an electric plane on this route. Hell, I'm not sure even needs to run on batteries. They could just leave it plugged in. Orcas eat moose. For the people wondering, there's apparently some prime moss and shit underwater, so moose can swim and dive to get it, and That's where effing orcas come in. That must be some primo herb. Moose are excellent swimmers also. There's a lake outside my house. It's called Moose Lake. Moose swim in it. A moose once bit my sister. That's not always it. The moose often swim between the islands over here on BC's coast and orcas pick them off, which is why the orca is considered a natural predator to the moose here. Orcas eat everything. Whales, great whites, moose. Sharks are older than trees. And older than the rings of Saturn. That's way crazier. There's more time between the first and last dinosaurs than the last dinosaurs and us. There's more time between the construction of the Great Pyramid in Egypt and the time of Cleopatra than between the time of Cleopatra and now. Fact check just made it even more mind-blowing. Sharks 450 million years old. Rings of Saturn 10 to 100 million years old. I can't even wrap my head around 450 million years of anything. This is the first one in this thread that I thought, there's no way that's true. I had to Google it and I'll be damned, it's really true. But the oldest currently living tree is older than the oldest currently living shark. There's some area there where it hasn't rained for literally over 1 million years. It's so dry that nothing lives there. They used the area to test Mars rover equipment because it's the closest you can get on Earth compared to the real thing. They are effing insanely barren. Like 2 fungus and a few dozen species of bacteria live there. Crickets' ears are on their legs. I love the idea that, as a species, they've got no idea they're the ones chirping. So it scares the shit out of them every time. Chirp chirp. Everest is nowhere close to being the farthest away from the center of the Earth. The top of Chimborazo in Ecuador is 2.1 kilometers farther away. Even crazier is that Chimborazo isn't even the highest mountain in the Andes. I appreciate seeing a genuine fun fact on here. So how come Everest is regarded as the highest mountain? I checked. Chimborazo is the furthest because it's located on the equator where the Earth is broadest due to centrifugal force. It's measured from sea level, not the center of the Earth. The sea level must be further from the center around South America than at the Indian Ocean. Yes, this is because the Earth is not perfectly round. It bulges out a bit at the equator, which is not much relative to the overall average diameter of the Earth, but quite significant relative to the height of mountains above sea level. Everest is the tallest mountain measuring from sea level to the top, I believe. Mauna Kea, in Hawaii, is actually the tallest mountain from base to top. And Denali is, I think, the highest if you count from base, above sea level, to top. Everest is higher above sea level, but also the base of Everest is pretty high up in the Himalayas already, while Denali's base is fairly close to sea level. Vegetable is a culinary term, not a scientific one. When people say, tomatoes are a fruit, they're using the botanist's definition, and ignoring the distinctions made in cooking. What's that saying? Intelligence is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in your fruit salad. Vanilla is a very difficult to grow orchid and takes 12 years to mature. We think of it as basic, but it is pretty exotic. And has to be fertilized by hand since the vanilla orchid bee is extinct. It's also a vining orchid. The Caesar salad was invented in Tijuana, Mexico. Caesar's restaurant is still open. There are an infinite number of rational numbers. Similarly, there are an infinite number of irrational numbers. If you pick a number at random, though, it is almost 100% certain to be an irrational number. Almost all numbers are irrational. Some infinities are greater than others.
Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.